Hey, Stationeers, John Doe here with a new script for printer managing. Something I like to kind of put together to save me some time. Because, you'll have like large print jobs and you don't necessarily want to sit here at your printer all day and, wait for the right number to hit and just to hit stop. So I've got a little start stop automation built here. um, as well as like a little loop so I don't have to move material around. So none of this is new. This is just kind of my spin on setting everything up. So if we just kind of take a quick overview look here, we have a little circular pattern where my materials can loop around. Over here in this far corner, I have, you might recognize it's my silo sorter. So everything that I create just gets sent here to the silo for storage. If I don't want it to go there, then I have this little bypass button where my output will instead come to an outside chute instead of to the silo. So it gives me some control. Now the ingots that are used for manufacturing, those stay in the loop. Those will not go to silo. But if you ever need to get them out of the loop so that you can use them for combining or whatever reason that you no longer want them part of the manufacturing process, you could just pull this little ejector handle here. And I like the lever because it's a great visual cue that, you want the output to, to happen here. And this will spit out either the product or the ingots. And with it up like this, like I said, the output goes to the silo. And if it's an ingot, it just stays in this loop forever. And a quick demonstration of what I've got here. So you'll notice I have the door handle closed here. So all my ingots are going to be in this printer. All the other ones will be open and empty. And this allows those ingots to simply pass through and go on to the next printer. And ahead of each printer, I have a sorter. So that's, I'll show you here in a minute. That's what my program controls in module form. It controls one printer and a sorter that goes ahead of the printer. And then I got some dials and buttons here to make the process easier, and we'll demonstrate that. But for now, we'll get back to, let's say I want to move my materials from this printer to this printer. So you close the door on the printer that you want to use, and you open all the other doors. So that's why I leave them open so I don't have to run around every time. As you can see, it just starts the fairy process of going from one printer to stop at wherever the doors are closed and doesn't allow it to proceed. And there you have it. Now I actually need to print some heavy cables here, so we're going to do that in our demonstration. So I'm going to send them back around the loop and get those in the system. We'll demonstrate that pull here in just a minute. Okay, so a little closer look here behind the scenes. You see basically each printer has that sorter in front of it. I have mine in just one big wired loop. I go through the trouble of dialing in or using batch name devices to get access to everything on the network. So that's kind of a pain when you're using screws to dial in on your logic housing. But sometimes it allows you to add more devices than the 6 to go that way. And let's get into some of that. Yeah, so let's open up. So I'm going to remove this piece of chute so that we can get in there. I guess the wall out of the way too, because it's going to interfere with my demo. All right, so you'll need one IC housing and an IC10 chip for each printer and sorter combination. If you want a bigger loop like I've got developed here, and again, this is just for inspiration, you'll need another housing or another chip, and program your own mix on how you want to route it once you've completed the system, right? It's either to send it back through the loop and start over again, or to exit it, or whatever you feel like doing. Again, for my setup, what I've done here is I've just combined a routine so that it goes with my silo sorter, and then back in the loop. So it's a couple extra steps there. You don't have to do it, but that's what I am doing. So my screwdriver has go away. And I put it in. Well, darn it. I've lost my screwdriver. Son of a biscuit. Here it is. How about that? Found it. All right. So I'll have three buttons. Well, the first three buttons here are set up for dials. Now these dials help me set a quantity for how much production I want. Let's go over here because this is where I really want to print. I want to print the cables, and I want to print a stack of 50. So the far right one increments the count by 1. So there's 3, 4, 5. I'm going to want 50, so I'm going to set that to 0. The middle one increments in groups of 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. There we go, the number we want. And the far left one increments in groups of 100 for those really big print jobs. So these. So you simply dial using, a combination of these three so that you don't have to dial like 1 through 999, which would take a while. That's why I did these three. And then that sets your number. Now, this push button is a start abort button. So once I click it, it starts the process. It assumes that you've got your materials loaded. It doesn't do a check. It's a dumb start. I also have a stacker that's part of this routine. I didn't mention that before, so apologize. Um, and I've added an optional display that will show the quantity in the stacker. You don't have to put this there, but if you do, you have that option to display it versus just hovering over it with your mouse to see how many. And then here next to the quantity requested display is the actual output quantity. So once this job starts, this number will start to increment one at a time until it hits your goal. Right? And then the auto stacker here will kick out once it hits a max stack, spit it out the line, and then it either comes out here if you have the bypass turned on. In my case, that's not part of this routine. Or it goes to my silo for storage. If you have neither of these, well, then it'll just spit out and onto the ground. Hopefully, at least have a stacker so it doesn't spit it out one at a time. So I wanted to show you these pins. So there are some settings that you do have to place to pin. So D0, and again, once you hover over it with your screwdriver, it should tell you what it is. So there's your dial 100, dial 10, and your dial 1. So helpful to name these, dial 1, 10, or 100 to help you align them to pins, especially when you have more than one printer. The other far 3 is for your displays, D3 through D5. So D3 is your demand, which would be the amount requested. Then there's the amount supplied, which is the amount that's been produced and delivered. And then finally we have your optional stacker display, which is the thing over here, and just giving you the quantity of material currently within your stacker. Right, let's see, are we good to go? I do this thing here. Right, that's good to go. We have our 50 requested. Everything's set. Okay, so for funsies, I'm just going to output here so we can watch it happen. And let's take a quick look at the code first. Because there are some setups you'll have to do in addition to the pen. So these up to line 6, this is really the only thing you'll have to edit. So I've just kind of combined a combination of using the hash allocation for the numbers. So you can either type hash and then let's pull that up in case you're not familiar with it. So if you hit F1 for station P, let's, oh, I've already said it. This, so we can put them side by side and let's pause. All right, so let's say we're looking for the new printer. Here we go. Let's do the electronic. Here we go. So you could go here to the prefab name and use that here in between quotes to convert that to a hash number, which is this number 130765496. Right. So type either in the number or this hash. Make sure if you just click on it, it'll copy to clipboard, and then you can just paste it in there. How can that thing? Very, very nice. Go. Uh, the sorter, you kind of have to be careful with that because there are 2 options with that. So this structure sorter is for the first option. So let's just pull that up here in the wiki. So you see there's there's a sorter and there's a logic sorter. So I have developed for this code for the sorter. If you end up placing the logic sorter, you'll need to update that code. The stacker has several configuration options. We can't list them all here for you. I know when you're placing them down, you can change the orientation, the input can change sides, the data import change sides. There's like 6 different variations here. So the best way to perhaps tackle that is I like to put in the config card in my tablet. And if we scroll down here, you can see the prefab hash 336213101. That is your hash code for this particular for the electronics. So there's different ways that you can go about getting those, and if you're getting some kind of error or it's not performing or recognizing the device, using that tablet with a config card can really help. Battery real quick because it is sucking up some juice. All right, so a couple other things I want to show while we're here. So we've got our dials for input, we got our display request, and then everything after here is self-configuring, right? You will have to name your printer, your sorter, and your stacker all with whatever name that you put in here. So for example, if I go this, all right. So you can see I'd name my printer autolathe. My sorter is also autolathe, and my stacker is also named autolathe. Basically, that just allows me to use one name in the code and save just a whole bunch of lines, right? So if I call everything an autolathe, then I don't have to give it a different name for each device. So instead of 3 lines, I'm doing it in 1. So you feel free to change that if you so desire, but that's how I check. Save some space. Okay. Start a little loop. And the other thing I kind of wanted to show you here is I've added an idle cycle. for the stacker. So if the stacker hasn't had any input on it and it's outside of a print job, then after about 10 seconds, it will automatically eject something. So that's kind of necessary for when you are moving your materials around. So if you don't have a full stack in your stacker, it'll just sit there and wait for something different to come in to push it out or for you to turn his handle. So I've just set in like a 10-second delay, and anything that's in there, if there's not a print job going, we'll kick it. All right, so that covers it. So let's just kind of show here. So here's my start button. You can see we'll kick on. If you hit it again, it will stop. It will reset the count. So if you print one and you really wanted 50, then you might want to adjust that count to 49 to offset the one that you already printed. But I stopped mine in time. You can also manually start and manually stop without messing up or without this routine interfering with it. So you still have the option to manually do manufacturing you want without this thing bothering you. I also put in a routine where if you started this and turned it off, it also aborts my routine. So at any rate, I tried to make it really user-friendly with how you might interact with the machine, at least how I do. So, I like to program how I run. Maybe run this way too. All right, so you can see that the stacker is matching the job output because the wire has a stack of 50. This is going to match up. If you were to build like chutes and you wanted 50 of them, then this would stack to 10, kick out, and then restart with 0. And this would continue on all the way up to 50. And because this is modular, like I said, you just basically plop one of these IC housings down for combination. And you can just build on as many as you want. So I've made one for every single printer type that's currently in game. And hopefully this will inspire you and some of your creativity if you've been looking for some solutions for managing materials, data output. This will come in really handy, for example, when if you're on a storm-ridden planet, build the housing around this, and it's just weather-proof. Now these machines do put out sparks, so make sure you don't have any volatile gases in your atmosphere, because things might start going boom because of the heat generated sparks. All right, I hope you like it, and look for my silo sorter program if you're interested in that and seeing how it works. Hope you enjoy.